Ma'am, shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I share the screen?
No, I will first introduce something.
Okay.
Is the screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Shruti Gurke, welcome you all to Research by Charcha, Nanotechnology, hosted by IEEE NTC Student Branch Chapter, IIT Indore. One of the famous scientists, Ralph Markle, says nanotechnology is an idea that most people simply don't believe. Nanotechnology is a vast and versatile domain and has topped the charts in terms of research nowadays. This event will introduce the audience various applications of nanotechnology. In this event, our eminent speakers will discuss the trending research in this domain, and in the end, audience will be allowed to interact with the speaker. So, without wasting our time, we shall start with the event. Now, I would like to invite today's speaker, Dr. Veda Nagaraja. Dr. Veda is a senior scientist in the piezoMEMS group of Tyndall National Institute, Ireland. She has over 17 years of teaching and research experience. Her initial research has been on MEMS inertial sensors like microphone and accelerometers. She joined Tyndall National Institute in 2020 as a program manager for MEMS service. As a senior scientist, she is currently working on design, simulation, and modeling of SAW resonators. These resonators are useful in communication systems for 5G and 6G applications. Welcome, Dr. Veda.
Right. Thank you, Shruti.
Yeah.
Can I share?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Now we can check.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible, but it is not full screen mode.
Now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it is there.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Pavan, Shruti, for this introduction and invitation. It's my pleasure to be giving this talk. I will just take you through a couple of slides or more slides to explain my whole journey and what I'm doing currently as well. I will, this is the way I would like my talk to be. I start with my journey. And as my journey slides go on, you will see the different areas I have worked. And then I'll come to what I do in Tyndall and why IEEE is such a great platform for young researchers, early career researchers, and what you all stand a chance at the global level. So to begin with my academic background, I did my bachelor's in engineering in electronics and communication from a University of Mysore, and also my PhD comes from University of Mysore in MEMS. My master's was done under Visvesvaraya Technological University. I did my master's in VLSI design and embedded systems. Actually, as a master's student, when I entered into VLSI design and embedded, I got into the semiconductor space and I was very comfortable. I didn't want to change my line to MEMS. I was more or less forced into, and I'm so happy I was forced to. I'll tell you the reason for that. So during my master's, I worked on hardware implementation of neural network, an algorithm for neural network application. My master's work was very good, and then we enhanced it further, and an Indian patent was filed. it was a scripted code in HSpice on Synopsys tool, and the work was excellent. So I was very comfortable in VLSI because it got to this level just at the master's. So I had no intention of changing. But my supervisor in my master's was also a MEMS expert. MEMS stands for Micro Electromechanical Systems. It's also on the semiconductor space, but it is on the sensing side, whereas VLSI would be more on the circuitry side. So he more or less convinced me, saying that, look, at the MEMS field has a lot of scope in India because there are foundries coming up where you could fabricate and see, whereas for CMOS fabrication, you have to go outside India and you don't really get a fab experience. So he just, there was just this one workshop happening at IAC, and he told me, you just attend it. I was not inclined, but I'm so glad I attended. And that was my life-changing point in my career. So I would suggest that don't restrict your mind to comfortable zones. Try to explore. You never know what changes your life. So when it came to my PhD, I worked on biologically inspired MEMS directional microphone. It's a microphone which can sense not only the acoustic signal, but it can also sense the direction. So how this works is basically there are two membranes, as you can see, and there is a cone kind of structure which are differential in nature. So when pressure is applied on one of these diaphragms, assuming this is the microphone diaphragm, this will go down and this will come up. It's like a seesaw mode, and the capacitance on either side will change. Now, how this is biologically inspired is very interesting because it goes with the organ design of a parasitoid. So all of you know about cricket insect. So cricket insects makes a chirping sound, which is very irritating for us. That sound comes basically at 8 kilohertz frequency. This sound, incidentally, is actually the insect trying to call its female. So the male insect is trying to send a signal to the female, and if the female reciprocates back, only then the male goes towards the female. So the chirping sound that we hear of cricket is actually an interaction between the male and the female. Now, there is a parasitoid called Ormia ocratia, which is very small. It is as tiny as our fingernail. This parasitoid actually has a membrane in its hearing organ, which is similar to this structure. It can sense, or its organ will vibrate only at 8 kilohertz. So it's designed naturally such that it can detect the frequency of the cricket signal, and it goes in the direction where that 8 kilohertz frequency is sensed, and it goes and lays its larva on the cricket insect. And over a period of time, that larva grows and the cricket dies. So this microphone was inspired from this hearing organ, from this organism's hearing organ, and I designed it such that it should resonate around 8 kilohertz. So my simulated result and my fabricated results matched. I didn't stop at that, and my sensitivity was 100 times better than the ones which was reported earlier. But I didn't stop at that. I interfaced with a readout circuitry called MS3110, and I could make it a completely system integrated device. So since we got very good results from this, we filed an Indian patent, and it's about to be granted now. And from this work, as I was doing my PhD itself, the Defense Ministry, basically DRDO, they got interested because they wanted these microphones for some of their applications. So I got some grants, very minimal grant to begin with. I got a rupees 7 lakh grant from a DRDO. Basically, what they wanted was, if it is a battlefield scenario, they wanted near the landmines, assuming, let's say it's a battlefield within Indian space, and there are landmines. They wanted these microphones to be located close to the landmines. So if there is an enemy tanker coming nearby, they wanted these microphones to detect these signals and blow up the landmine. thereby destroying the tanker. So I designed the microphone which could sense the frequency of the tanker movement. And I had a co-PI who designed the readout circuitry using LabVIEW, and we, because it was just rupees 7 lakh, we couldn't fabricate it, but we gave it to DRDO, and later they even fabricated this microphone, and it did work for them. Also, DRDO, another branch of DRDO is the GTRE, Gas Turbine Research Institute. They wanted to use these sensors for vibration detection to monitor the health of their screech engines. So it's a screech sensor. So these turbine engines' health or any engine's health can be monitored by detecting the change in frequency. So these sensors can be mounted on the engine or close to the engine. And whenever there is a change in frequency from its normal natural frequency, you can know that there is something wrong with the engine and thereby detecting the fault. So even they were interested. They gave us the specification. We got this fabricated through INEP program at Sense IISc, and it did work. Later, as I finished my PhD, I got a grant from DST for 47 lakh Indian rupees for development of a MEMS hearing aid. This also, I could implement it. This microphone was kind of different. It was not the same structure that with which I worked for my PhD. This had a different process flow and a different design. And it used what we call as a dual backplate capacitive microphones. For the readout circuitry, you all should know that the hearing aid costs different. It can cost from 10,000 Indian rupees to say 3 lakh, 5 lakh Indian rupees. Believe me, the hardware of it remains the same irrespective of the cost. What is really critical in the hearing aid is the signal processing circuitry, the algorithm that goes into it, and the code that goes into it. So all these giants like Siemens, Videx, and so on, who are leaders in hearing aid technology, they are killing the, or you can say in a way, they exploit the market because of they introduce just like 4 or 5 lines of code and enhance the features, and they will easily increase the cost by 50,000. So what we thought was we'll use an open source system here called MHA platform. And that was used in this hearing aid. Though we didn't really develop to a high level that we can compete with leading markets, but this can be taken forward and it can be taken to a level that it can beat the market hearing aid as well, because it's an open source. These were my main works in the MEMS area, but I had a huge group that I was managing in India, and we worked in different aspects, right from thin film to MEMS to IoT platform. So along with my colleague, we developed a cattle health monitoring system, as you can see here, a complete system integration of it. So all the cattle, the health of the cattle is very much essential to be monitored. And its milk yield will change depending on temperature, its respiration rate, what's the humidity in the environment, whether its heart is beating too fast or too slow. So continuous monitoring of the health of the cattle is important, because the milk yield and the quality of the milk that is produced will also get affected. So we were approached by a government veterinary college, and they gave us some minimal amount of 45,000, and we developed a prototype for them, and they did integrate it on their cattle to see this, and it did work. I still continued to work on the readout circuitry for the MEMS devices, keeping my VLSI passion still intact. And I had my students who worked with me. I worked on modulators, demodulators, multiplexers, and so on, using the Cadence software. This we followed the process from Europractice. Europractice is a consortium in Europe who give the design files or the design rules for CMOS fabrication from leading foundries. So this work, I still continue to work. Also with my colleague, I could get a grant from GTRE, again from DRDO. They had a problem where after a certain temperature is reached in the gas turbine engine, through the exhaust, they would always find that some metal debris, which was part of the gas turbine engine, because of wear out of the engine, metal debris would pass through the exhaust. So if the health of the engine is not good, the wear out will be faster. So they wanted a system to be integrated at the exhaust of the gas turbine engine so that we could detect the number of metal particles that was being sent out. And it comes out in a very high speed at very high temperature. And these are nanoparticles. So I did the design part of this here, and using two rings of metal plate, which would act like a capacitor. And if metal debris pass through it, then the field will change. So depending on where the metal debris is, you can see the field pattern changes. And this is detected through the readout circuitry. So this was implemented when I was back in India. Other than this, I worked with another colleague of mine who worked on the organic fibers. So there is a fiber by name hemp. Hemp is a very strong fiber. It is much stronger than jute and other textiles. These are used to anchor the ships. The ropes which anchor huge ships are made up of hemp fiber. And these are usually treated chemically to increase their tensile strength. So we came up with a method to increase the tensile strength in the non-chemical method by using some organic methods. And we did the cleaning, we increased the strength, we increased the quality of the fiber and so on. This was funded by an industry. And then the pandemic hit, and I was all alone. I couldn't have my colleagues with me, but I was living on campus. So I had the lab access for myself. So I didn't stop my research, even though the pandemic had hit. I would go to the lab daily. We had developed what is called as a cold atmospheric plasma treatment device. So plasma is like the fourth state of matter. That's the plasma I'm talking about here. And plasma at this stage can kill organisms and kill bacteria, kill viruses, fungi, deactivate them. And it is a very clean process, but you should know how to, it is a very high voltage setup. It can be used to clean our agriculture products like fruits, vegetables. Instead of cleaning them with water and other chemicals after you buy them, you can actually just treat them under this plasma, and all the organisms around it will get killed. You can also treat water with this plasma. As you can see, this is untreated water, and this is after treatment. You can see how much more clear it becomes. You can treat even old currency notes. So you can see there are many spots here which are not treated. So, this is the sample we got from old currency note that I was trying to treat. And after treatment with plasma, you can see it becomes much clearer. So this was something that my colleague was looking to patent. Unfortunately or fortunately for me, I got this opportunity to get a global exposure by joining Tyndall. So I couldn't complete this work, but my colleague back in India, he continued this work. And this was in collaboration with an industry based in Pune. So something that I would like to mention here, what I did for India as a country for MEMS. I do not know how many of you know of this activity called as a MEMS community chip activity. I have been coordinating this activity for last 10 years. I still continue to coordinate this activity in India. So a community chip is basically a chip within which it's like an MPW run that is normally called globally. MPW stands for multi-process wafer run. In India, we call this as a community chip. So in one chip design, for example, let's say this is one chip, I can have design, let's say from IIT Indore here, I can have from IIT Madras here, IIC here, and so on. So in one mask, I'll have designs from all institutes. So let's say this costs something like a 5 lakh Indian rupees. If we have 5 institutes designs put into the same dye area, then you will be able to see that the cost is reduced by 1/5. So you will not be incurring the cost of the full 5 lakh. You will actually get to fabricate your device at a much lower level. So this is something that we started about 10-15 years back, and many people in fact benefited from this because the cost was reduced. In fact, my PhD work was also completed using one of the community chip activities in one of the runs. So the first community chip had only thermal actuator. So a thermal actuator is a device like this where you have a thin arm and then you have a very broad arm. So when you apply voltage on either side, the thin arm gets heated up much more than the wider arm. And because of that, it will start bending. So you can see here in this video, there is a bending action happening. And when you reverse the voltage, it will come back to its original positions. So they work like relays, they work like switches, and so on. So in the first community chip, almost all institutes ended up fabricating a thermal actuator. Later, people, when they got the confidence, they started fabricating accelerometers, microphones, pressure sensors, gyroscopes, micro grippers, and so on. So this is what I did extensively in India. I still continue to coordinate this along with professors in IISc. I'm very closely associated. And this is through a professional body like IEEE. There is a professional body called Institute of Smart Structures and Systems. I'm a member secretary of this. I'm a senior member of IEEE, and I'm a member secretary of this. I'm a lifetime member of this professional body as well. So we did 4 community chip. The 5th one is currently going on. If anyone is interested, you can contact me. And you can see several institutes across the country have benefited, more so from the south because IISc is down there. So now the 5th community, all these 4 community chips were fabricated outside India. Now the 5th one we are fabricating within SENS IISc. I also worked briefly on OLED simulation. I have initiated an MOU with University of Hasselt, Belgium, and along with IAC and this university, I simulated some part of OLED. Basically, OLED has different layers in its structure. So one of the layer I tried to simulate and see if nanoparticles, gold nanoparticles, are induced in that layer, how the functionality of the OLED can be changed. So this work also was completed, and very recently a publication has been accepted, and it has been published, in fact, from this work. So this was all that I did when I was in India, and since 2020, I'm in Tyndall. I got an opportunity to get a global exposure. So I joined Tyndall. Tyndall is basically part of University College Cork. We are a research institute. We do not get into teaching like undergraduate or so on, though I will be taking one course next year for MEMS, which will be an elective course. But we are mainly into research. We take PhDs students, we take postdocs. We also hire master student by research. Master student by research means that their main majority of their credit comes from the project. They'll have very little coursework. And we also take final year students of undergraduate and postgraduate. Their projects are also done with us. So we are based in Cork. We are in the southern part of Ireland. And basically, Tyndall works in deep tech technology. We work on nanotechnology. That's our core area. We work on microelectronics. Photonics is a big group. It's one of the leading photonic research in the world happens in Tyndall. We have excellent packaging facilities. We work on quantum engineering, wireless, and energy. The areas that we concentrate are mainly in agri and food security, which also aligns with many aspects that India looks for. Health and life sciences, HLS is very, very important in Ireland, and Tyndall works in this space from different groups and different angles. There is micro and macro energy research, basically energy conservation, storage, harvesting, and so on. I work currently in the information and communication space. I work in ICT because I'm working on resonators, RF resonators for 5G and 6G communication. So just to give you an idea on what I currently work on is on surface acoustic wave devices. Surface acoustic wave is commonly called as SAW. These devices can be used as resonators or as sensors. So I'm working right now in resonator space because I have a collaborator within Tyndall who is a RF leader, and she is a very young achiever, a woman, and I'm very glad that we have many women coming out and leading groups and getting huge grants. So she is an inspiration, much younger than me, and she's got many lifetime achievements already. So I collaborate with her because she works on RF filters, and she's not a MEMS person. She's more on the traditional RF, on the circuit simulation, and she needs our resonators, MEMS resonators, to fit into RF filters. So I've been able to fabricate some SAW devices which work in gigahertz space. As you can see in 2.3 gigahertz, this is my COMSOL simulation results, and you can see the modal analysis, and these are my measurement results. So 2.3 was the expected, and I could get it around 2.1 gigahertz, which is not very bad in terms of matching the results with my simulation. I also do the electrical equivalent circuit of the resonator because this is what they will take finally for filter simulation. So this work is ongoing, and very recently one of my papers on this work has been accepted at a conference. This is a joint conference of IEEE between the European side and the Asia Pacific side. So this is happening in May, and my work has been accepted there. And hopefully I receive good remarks there. So you can see here, these are my simulation results. So I did the work of SAW resonators on high resistivity silicon with an oxide layer and without the oxide layer, and also on low resistivity silicon. So 3 different aspects we have fabricated, and we have seen how the performance improves or deteriorates with different materials. And what we find is from the literature, as compared to literature, our devices had better figure of merit for, this is on aluminum scandium nitride, which is a piezoelectric layer, for the percentage of scandium that we used, which was 6%. Compared to literature, we have better figure of merit for the percentage of scandium. So this work I'm continuing. I'm looking for to hire a master's student initially. And if the master's student does well, that can be converted to PhD. So it will be in this space of SAW, F-bar, X-bar, BAW kind of resonators. So coming to why IEEE and what IEEE can give you, I'll give you my own example. I am part of IEEE Sensors Council. I'm in the executive committee of Women in Sensors, which is commonly called as VICE, and which very appropriately we women are VICE. So I'm in the executive committee of this council, and I'm also a part of Young Professionals, which is also part of the IEEE Sensors Council. I'm also a member of IEEE Electronics Packaging Society, and right now I am conducting a conference in Tyndall in May on 3D-IC. 3D-IC is a packaging for all micro devices. So I'm coordinating, I'm the publication chair for this conference, and I'm leading this conference from Tyndall. So this comes under the Electronic Packaging Society. I'm a senior member of IEEE. I have been member more than 10 years now. And it's platforms like this which help me network. Today, I can very proudly say I know many people, not only within India, but even across the globe. because of the platform that I get from IEEE and other societies. It's very essential that at a young age, you all get into it. You also end up getting your mentors using these platforms, especially for women. I would like to say that in the IEEE Sensors Conference that will happen this October, I'm in the organizing committee of that, again, part of WISE. We are arranging a mentor-mentee platform. This is jointly being done by WISE and YP. YP is Young Professionals. So if any one of you is working in the sensor space, please do attend this conference. We are going to have a session to align the mentors and mentees. You will get to meet the great people in this space. You will get to, at least this is how I got my mentor. I have many role models. I was asked to tell who is my role model. I cannot pinpoint on one. Right from my PhD supervisor who has mentored me, I look up to him. I have almost all the stalwarts in IAC from Center for Nanoscience and Engineering. They all have somehow or the other mentored me, created an interest in me, right from Professor V.K. Atre, who has been a father figure, Professor S. Mohan, Professor Naukan Bhatt, Professor Rudra Pratap. I can go endlessly. Professor Anand Suresh, now who's Dean Mechanical Sciences. They all have played significant role in my life. And I got to meet them only through professional bodies. So it's very essential that you all get into conferences, get into these platforms, and leverage from their expertise and enhance your career. So in this sensors conference, specifically, I would say that we will make sure that you end up meeting your mentor. We also have for young entrepreneurs a big idea pitch contest where you can come and talk about your big idea and win very lucrative prizes as well. The last thing that I would like to say is the opportunities that you have, at least from my point of view where I'm currently located. Please visit Tyndall website careers. There are huge number of openings. See if you fit in any of them. If you need some help, you can always reach out to me. My contact detail is here. Tyndall in its core ideologies promotes equality, diversity, and inclusion. It's there on our website. We are part of, we have actually got the bronze medal in Athena Swan. Athena Swan is a certification which is given to only select institutions who have overcome the gender bias, who have somehow managed in this very male dominant space to create an equality for women. We have won the bronze medal. We look towards enhancing that going further. So empowering women, creating a gender balance is one of the core ideologies within Tyndall. They're looking at multiplying or doubling their intake or doubling the number of people they hire. In specific, they're looking to hire women. So if any one of you is interested to work with me in the space that I have told, it can be right from a master's student going up to a principal scientist, or if you have any other opportunity that you see in this careers portal, please let me know. I'll be very happy to get you connected to the right individual. Yeah, that's from me. Thank you. If there are any questions, I can take. Sorry, your voice is cracking, Shruti. I can't hear you well. Sorry, I couldn't hear you at all. Is there a question in the chat box? If a new researcher wants to do research in SAW resonators, how he or she would start the literature like material science? Okay, if anyone sends an email to me, I can send you enough amount of literature. And I would be happy to mentor the person personally. Whoever is interested, I can coach you from the scratch. In fact,
Okay.
I do this with my old institute in India in Bangalore. I coach undergraduate students in this. I would be very happy if someone from IIT Indore or anywhere for that matter want to get into this space. I'll be very happy to mentor the person.
Thank you, Dr. Veda.
Welcome.
And yeah, this is Sanjay. So basically, my question is related to the MEMS research in India actually. As you have
Mhm.
already mentioned that, I think the ISC Bangalore
Yeah,
the major play the very major role in the MEMS research. But
right.
India have 23 IITs as well,
Mm.
and but there is no experimental output. In the last 5 years, I think the CSIR city plan is also saturated in the MEMS research field. So
Mhm.
how to see the situations? How we can accelerate the MEMS research in India?
Okay. So, unfortunately, it is a person driven, all this research, right? So, it is not that India doesn't have the facility. Believe me, more than Europe, India has the facility. I can tell you, based on my experience, Tyndall has might be infrastructure wise better quality instruments, but they do not have the hunger and drive that we Indians have. So when you don't have hunger in your belly, nothing is achieved irrespective of what your infrastructure is. Indians, I'm proudly saying that we have the hunger in our belly and we want to really achieve high. Coming to infrastructure, Indian government has truly highly invested not just in IAC. You should know IIT Bombay has very good facility. IIT Delhi has very good facility. IIT Madras has very good facility. IIT Guwahati has very good facilities. And even now, IIT Hyderabad is having a very good facility. It's just that people do not know and they do not approach these. There is this platform called INUP. I don't know how many of you have even tried to take leverage of that. It is an open, free of access. So there are platforms. In fact, like I said, the Institute of Smart Structures and Systems, we help in connecting those people to the relevant uh, group within India and even abroad if required in the MEMS area. It's for you all to explore. It's not that India doesn't have, and all think only IISc has it. It is not true. It's just that you all
The
have not
basic.
networked enough to know it.
Yes, yes, because the last 3 years, ISC is basically took the many efforts. Like ISC has also started, I think, one program with ISTM. They are providing a free access for all the software,
Yeah.
especially for the MEMS
Yes.
MEMS device installation.
Yes. ComSol. Yeah.
Definitely, ISC are doing a great job, but I think the IITs are lacking on that in that
Yeah,
particularly case because
IITs don't do as much as IIC, I agree, but it's not that they don't have facility. They have excellent
they have
facility as
facility,
much
but
as IIC.
they not provide any significant output actually. That's my concern actually.
Yeah. They are not providing also because people don't go and ask like IIT Bombay also has INUP, IIT Madras has INUP. How many of you are really approaching them and applying for proposals there? I do not know. Everyone approaches IIC and they have a long queue. So you all should look for INUP website and go and access in IIT Bombay or IIT Madras. They have these facilities and they are bound to give you that facility. It is a national facility.
Yes.
So people also should put some pressure and approach these people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. In fact, in Tyndall, for that matter, I coordinate an open access platform called Ascent Plus. So anyone across the globe can access our foundry.
Okay. Yeah, including the fabrication facility or there is
Oh,
some.
yeah. There is a limited access. If someone is interested, you can approach me. I'm coordinating that effort from the MEMS side. People
Yes.
don't know these are very much accessible, which are very much available. The knowledge is not there. Many of my colleagues back in India have accessed this. In IIC, what they are not able to do in IIC, they come to me.
That's good actually.
Yeah. In fact, we are looking for collaboration in India very extensively. I'm leading the India outreach for Tyndall. I'm spearheading that. We are looking for collaboration. If someone in IIT Indore wants to have collaboration with Tyndall, just let me know. I'll be very happy to get you aligned to the counterpart here.
Yeah, sure. Is there any
Anyone
question
has
from the audience?
In fact, this community chip that I said, right? It's very cost effective. You don't have to struggle to get fabricated anyway. This is how we led the activity of MEMS in India. Can you believe it? There is an institute called BMSC in Bangalore. It's one of the oldest engineering colleges in India. They spent in 2020, when I was leaving India, I had coordinated this community chip. They spent 13,000 or 15,000 and got 4 devices. Just 13 or 14,000.
That's very cheap.
Yes, I mean, individuals can do it, right? Like if you're doing a PhD or let's say there are undergraduates, 4 people together, they want to fabricate, they can go and do it, right? 14,000 is nothing. Now, believe me, it's even cheaper because we are doing it within cents. So a 9 mm by 9 mm, 2 dies, believe me, we are giving it at 35,000. All exclusively having your design.
Yes.
How
But
many of you are aware of these facilities? That's the problem.
yes, and yeah, Dr. Veda, one question regarding I think the CSIR basically the last few years after I think 2015 CSIR has is also stopped the most of the budgets they are giving to like the MEMS facility like CSIO Chandigarh, CSIR Sri Pilani, and I think the budget issues also affect the research facility as well because also working in the 2016 or 17, I'm also working on in one of the ISC project capacitive transducers on a CSIR Sri Pilani, and at that time they are facing a lot of budget issues.
That
So
is because they have not shown the output for the investment that the government
yeah,
has
exactly.
given.
That's why that's why I'm asking you. Basically, the CSIR City Plan Research Facility is completely stuck in the last 5 years
Yeah.
especially in the case of the MEMS.
Yes.
So I think government is not support
Yeah,
much
I don't know if you
increase.
know this. This is what I hear from many people in IIC now, that the government has become so stringent that they'll give the first year fund and the second year fund comes very slow. This is all happening because of what they're seeing, right?
Yes, yes,
It's a collective thing that all the researchers in India have to think, what are they doing? They are getting excellent infrastructure. I mean, the infrastructure that CD has is equivalent to what Sense has.
yes, definitely. They have a lot of
Yes.
machineries and all things.
And there are only a handful of people who are very ethical and who are spearheading it. It's very unfortunate.
Yes.
So blaming the government for stopping, blaming others is easy. We have to first introspect ourselves and see what we have done wrong over the years. It also has to come from each individual.
Yeah, I understand. Basically, the productivity is much.
Yeah.
It should be increased. Then after we can look for the budget. That's a
Yeah.
priority. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, still people like who are budding engineers, right? If they should not be stopped from working in this space because of whatever the seniors are doing wrong. So I would still encourage the budding engineers and budding researchers to get into the space because Indian government is looking to invest in the semiconductor space. 10 billion USD is not a small amount. I hope that will encourage me also to come back to India someday, right? But it's a long way ahead. But what I'm saying is that you have these opportunities, like I said, right? There is Infab Technologies, a startup within Sense. You all should look at their website. You can write to me. I can connect you to the CEO. And they give very low cost, effective solution right from design to system integration, packaging system integration of MEMS devices. So if you're writing a project, you could write along with them. They are an industry. They will give you all the solutions. I've been part of the evolution of this startup, and we are trying to fabricate this community chip through them next. And they are very low cost. As I said, 9 mm die in 35,000 to begin with is nothing. When you go to MEMSCAP Foundry in the US, it is 5 lakh for the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
So where
So
is
yeah,
5 lakh and where is 35, right? There is no comparison.
yes, yes. So Dr. Veda, does Tyndall provide any financial support for the visitor scholar?
Oh, yes. We even my own salary comes from my own funding. I have to find my own salary. We work in that mode. We are a government institution. I'm a government employee, but government does not pay my salary. Of course, after if I plan to retire here, they'll take care of my retirement. All benefits are given to me. So if you have students and the students want to visit, and if our work align, we will be taking care of the visiting students. We'll pay the stipend, the living cost, everything is be from our side.
Yeah, that's okay. Actually, I'm also working on the basically the memory devices and want to explore the MEMS based the memory devices actually, the cantilevers or something else. So currently, I'm in the
Okay.
University of Edinburgh actually, and recently passed out at IIT Indore PhD. So I
Okay.
will look for the collaboration in the near
Yeah,
future to access
sure.
the Tyndall facility.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are there any question from audience? Shruti, go ahead.
Yeah, Shruti, if there is no question from the audience, so you may conclude the session.
Just like to say one thing to the women here.
Yeah.
Nothing should
Yes.
stop you irrespective of what the society says, right? The society can pull you down 100 times, but it is you who can only accelerate your own career. So just keep in mind that nothing should stop you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you,
Dr.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, Shruti is able to conclude the session or not? Hello, Shruti.
I think she has an audio
I think
issue.
yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So
Thank you,
thank you,
Dr. Veda,
Dr. Veda, for your
for
inviting and
accepting.
entertaining session
Yeah.
on the MEMS technology, and we are very grateful for the time and effort to you to share your thoughts and experiences, and especially for the women. So that's very encouraging for all. We hope that all the participants, especially for the young girls who are currently working in the MS research or some the MTech program as well. So hopefully they will definitely get benefited for that, and then we will meet soon, hopefully in the future
Yeah.
as well too. Yeah. So
Yes.
thank you so much for
I
your
look
time.
forward to continuous updates from you all, or if any inquiry, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank you
Yes,
for
sure.
inviting.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much, Dr. Veda.
Thank you.